Hi everyone, just wanted to do this one video, which is a two-topic video meshed into one, which is the Yom Kippur holiday plus what's going on with the Kurds and the pullout of U.S. troops. So I think that, unfortunately, were I to apologize to all of the people that I said very sharp things to in the past year, as you're supposed to do on Yom Kippur, I think I'd probably run out of time. I think the point of the holiday is to make good with the people in your life and with God, and also, if possible, with the world. And in many cases, donating to charity is considered the best way to do it. And I did donate to this organization that does, I guess it would be called food donations, but I don't think that really you can necessarily atone for everything until you know that the person's forgiven you. And therefore, I think that every time this holiday comes by, Yom Kippur, there's a little bit of uncertainty coming out the other end whether you really are being a valid representation of the holiday. And there's things that you do every year that you're definitely coming up short. So there's got to be a way to apologize for that, but I don't know if an apology really does it. And for that, I'll apologize to anybody, including, just in the context of the channel. If you guys think I'm not doing a good job, I guess sorry. I'll try to pretend to do a better job of making this channel over the next year, but no promises of anything breathtaking. Again, the focus has really shifted to the writing. But yeah, all jokes aside, you do have to wonder sometimes at the damage you do to people in your life. And I don't know if I do like actively a lot of damage, but I know that because I'm such a shut-in and I'm more into, doing stuff by myself and reading and things like that. So I do ignore a lot of people that are, going through milestones in their life and doing things that are certainly making the world better, because I just don't always have the real, I guess, enthusiasm and emotional maturity to be a real participant. So that's certainly one thing that I've had a problem with. Now, as far as what's going on in the Middle East, I do not know. I really don't know whether what Trump did as far as pulling the last troops out was the correct thing to do. And I'm not going to tell you that I fully support or oppose it, because I'd be lying either way. I really can't decide. It's difficult. Some people are saying things that are not exactly reinforcing any sort of good opinion about these Kurdish groups. Like there's certain elements, both of their ideology and things that they've done, that they do make you question whether they are a person that necessarily deserves to be an ally. And then again, sometimes you think that those reports are complete nonsense and that they're being used in order to justify yet another move by Trump that is not necessarily the best move. But I think it's better to be sure, if you're going to stand on one side of the issue or the other, than to jump onto it just because you might be ideologically inclined one way or another. Meaning that those people who are reflexively anti-war, and they're always, well, we have to get out of the wars and we have to bring the troops home, I think that's usually the safer bet, but it's also one that rests on this notion that there are no threats out there and that the United States could never be destroyed from any of our enemies. I think that's wrong. And then the other side, I think, is possibly worse. Okay, so the isolationist / non-interventionist side, I think those are two different things, but they're along the same line. The Ron Pauls and the Rand Pauls of the world, I think they sometimes get it wrong by erring on the side of caution and on the side of letting the world right itself. And you can be wrong with that. The other side, the interventionists, the neocons, I think are far worse. They're much, much worse. And when I look at some of these people who are constantly, their first reflex is to advocate for a military invasion or incursion or bombing campaign or no-fly zone, and they've never lifted a finger in their life, ever. You have Barry Weiss. You have John Bolton, who served in the National Guard, which is it's all good and well and good, but whatever. You have people like Shapiro, Ben Shapiro. They've never seen a war that they didn't like. Lindsey Graham, all those people. You know, at a certain point, you have to say that they are simply looking for an excuse to just destroy other countries, because they do believe that we should be imposing our way of life onto other countries, regardless of whether they deserve a whooping or not. And I think that that's more wrong. And there are people who tell me that I'm firing friendly fire, that I'm not, people who tell me, for instance, oh, you're not supporting Israel because you're criticizing Ben Shapiro, or you're doing the wrong thing because, this morning I wrote a post on my personal Facebook page where I really, really heavily castigated them, Barry Weiss and Ben Shapiro specifically. And this is the morning before Yom Kippur. And I know that it's not right to attack people personally, especially not on this day. But the real people who should atone, okay, I'll say what I do that's a mistake. The people who should atone are the people who do every time call for war and get the war and ruin other people's lives, ruin the lives of soldiers who come back and have to deal with the stress and the physical disabilities and the addiction and the PTSD and all of that. Those are the people who should get the apologies, not pundits on networks or working for the New York Times or the Daily Wire who do that. And look, I would say that if those people had been willing to take their own time out of their own lives, I looked at Barry Weiss's biography, and she went and did a gap year in Israel, and then she comes back here. She could have served over there too. I served over there. I did risk my life for about 2.5 years. And, I would do it again for my cousins and for the friends that I have there and the people that I met in the service. I would do it for that. I don't know if I would do it for the role that I had, because I hated the role. But that's the difference between someone who has tried to pitch in. I know I have a viewer, Larry, who's been on the nuclear submarines. And, maybe we don't agree on everything, but we agree that the price and the suffering that is inflicted by war is so bad sometimes that really we ought to be as cautious as possible before we go and take that final leap into a military conflict. And when we're ending in a military conflict, I think it's usually better, right? So that's about it. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also subscribe to me on BitChute and on Minds.com and on a Subscribe Star if you want to donate a little money. You can find me on Gab as well at Starscream85. And again, Happy New Year, and I hope that your judgment comes out well on Yom Kippur.